And following up on our massive, huge edition of the Soccer Club Chicago review of memories and nostalgia, we have one of the original OG Soccer Club Chicago members, organizers, a critical part of that community and our greater Footy Fellows community as well. Jez is here, and we are sidelined by Carlos Quintero. Am I saying it right?
Yeah, you are. You got it.
There we go. All right. Carlos, it's great to have you here on the eve of a Copa America final, in which your country is going to be fighting against Argentina, the reigning champions and reigning World Cup champions. So I thank you for coming on such a kind of timely edition of the podcast. How are you feeling ahead of the final?
Well, first of all, Rich, thank you so much for inviting me. I kind of follow the podcast. Congratulations. It's just wonderful, fantastic. I really admire the way that you've kind of kept it going and kept that community going. And I'm just thrilled to be here. Very, very excited. And I thank you. It's so kind of you. And yes, I'm very, very, very excited about tomorrow. I mean, to say the least. I mean, I think you guys have been kind of following a little bit of my journey, even from when I arrived, and we can talk about that. But also a little bit of the journey of me following Copa America and my team this tournament. So I'm just absolutely thrilled that we're in the final. We're actually very excited for this team, and we can talk about that. It's a really solid team, really good chemistry, really fantastic manager that we have. So the whole country is just absolutely just excited about the whole team. We feel like, I think at least me, I feel like we already kind of won. Basically, we're just so excited about this team and all behind it, and we're very excited about tomorrow. So.
Yeah, I mean, talk about the yellow wall in Dortmund. I feel like it's yellow wall any match that Colombia plays. Like, your fan force is intense, and like it feels really positive. And maybe we can contrast that by the other member of the conversation who also is looking forward to a final tomorrow daytime in Chicago time. Uh, Jez, we can't
Yes,
leave you out because England is in the final of the Euro Cup for
I
the
know.
second straight tournament.
And I'm still thinking of how we're going to lose.
So how do
No,
you feel? Let's
it's just
hear about
astonishing.
this. It's all positivity. What do you guys
It's
are?
all positivity. You ask any England fan, they know we're going to beat Spain. No, it's just astonishing. I want to ask Carlos straight off the bat: is this team different? What makes this team different? You've got right now, or is it always this way? Is there always a yellow wall?
Yeah. So I think from my experience in the tournament, the games that I've attended, there's always a lot of support. People that don't even follow, football, soccer, they just get excited when the La Selección Colombia, the Colombian team plays. They just get behind it because it's representing the country, our country, Colombia, in the world. So wherever Colombians are, it doesn't matter. Like Houston, Phoenix, San Francisco, Charlotte. Right, the other day, if there are Colombians and we can afford it to go to the stadium, we'll be there. So.
Yeah, there's quite a few. I have some colleagues. A lot of my students have Colombian background, and yeah, kids who you would never think are going to wear a jersey to school if the national team is playing. It's like they're wearing yellow all of a sudden, or dark blue. Beautiful jerseys, by the way. I think Colombia has like really simple, minimalist, and that logo is just as pure as it gets. I mean, you want hexagons and pentagons on your logo. Very cool. And Jez, so what about this team is special for you? Same question back at you.
It's
How
I've
did
got
they
to
make it?
Well, this is let's go for it straight away, because there's just been abuse for Southgate all the way along, but he's already got to more semi-finals and finals than the last 50 years England have.
Yeah.
So I asked myself the question, how badly have other teams in the general game fallen? That's where my head goes immediately.
Right. Yeah.
What's everyone else doing? Because in a post-Messi Ronaldo world, I don't want to go down a million rabbit holes. Like, what does the game look like? How are England managing to do this with what I think is a pretty average team? Like, and they're in the final again. And let's look at the last Euros. Italy won with like, and Portugal won, and Greece won with like, is it tiredness after tough seasons? Do these people not gel because the domestic game's so, people are with Madrid, PSG, everyone so much that they don't really care as much? There's a million ways that my head goes, because the England team isn't that special at all. I don't think. You've got one or two good players. I don't think so.
You think this team is average, really?
Yeah, compared to like your Scholes, Gerrard, Lampard, Shearer, Rooney, you name any, they were superstars. But every other nation had them too.
Yeah.
It's strange. I just.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah. It just is. I just think the international game may be falling a little bit. It used to be, I didn't know that player. Oh, wow, look at them. Like, when you're playing against these amazing, now they're all in the Premier League. And the English players are actually learning from them. So your Fodens and players like that can play alongside top flight players all and learn, where it's just you're playing with English people before 20, 30 years ago. Yeah, so I can't put my finger on it. That's the problem.
Yeah, so I think it's that question of whether those 90s, the Manchester era, whether it was just a lessened complete humiliation in terms of the country's perspective about what their possibilities were based aside next to what they actually achieved. And then so whether your team has always been that good, whether they've just underperformed, because I do think, I mean, the game is very Anglo right now, with the Premier League being the dominant league, and so these are all like really superstar players you see on the field that are making up their starting 11. So in that way, I do feel like they have an exceptional team.
You do? Well, just
roster.
To finish
Maybe it's not maybe it's not an exceptional team in terms of everyone is where they need to be, like they're filling in all of the positions soundly, but in terms of star power, I think they're pretty stacked.
I just want to finish the point you said about humiliation. Well, because everyone who's seen the Beckham documentary, I was one of the people that was angry with Beckham after '98 and like wanted him killed. Like I was one of those people. I've just seen humiliation after humiliation after humiliation until the other penalty shootout, either 06 or 08 against Portugal again, when Ronaldo winks at Rooney. It was like that was like the 10th time in a row I'd seen us get killed when we were better than the opposition.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why I went, okay, I'm done with this. Kind of, I'd taken enough kicks. So, and you're a Tottenham fan as well, so you get to see it twice. So I'm like, and I'd run out of passion at that point. So I'm done.
So
Carlos,
back to. I feel like I think most of us know what sort of a manager Southgate is, but could you, Carlos, give us a little bit of an insight into Colombia's manager, what his ethos is, what type of a guy he is, and what he brings to the table?
I got to be honest. When Nestor Lorenzo, as a manager, Argentine manager, took the reins of Colombia a couple of years ago when we started the World Cup qualifiers, I didn't really know much about him, and I think we've been pretty frustrated with managers that have come and gone, and to train the team. The one manager that we absolutely adore is Peckerman, another Argentine who managed the Colombia team in the 2014 World Cup, which we had a wonderful performance there. That's why everybody basically notice James Rodriguez for the first time,
Right.
just before Real Madrid signed him. So Peckerman was for us. I mean, he was Colombian, really. I mean, he played in Colombia. He's just has that passion. Managed the Argentine team in the 2006 World Cup, I believe it was. So we found out that Nestor Lorenzo, or I found out, that was actually assisting Peckerman during the Peckerman era in Colombia. So he's got the same philosophy and the same type of management style that Peckerman has, and I think that's he doesn't have a lot of like senior managerial experience, other than assistant, and he managed like a small club. I believe it was in Argentina. But then they just they trusted him to kind of take the reins of Colombia, and he's done an amazing job, just really transmitting all that type of leadership and inspiration to the players. And we have, I must confess, this is a brand new team that is not the same team from the 2014 World Cup. And there's obviously James is one of the few there that we kept, but brand new team that I started getting to know for the past 2 years. And he's assembled this fantastic team of players that they're not really superstars.
Right.
The only one that really people know about, that everybody's excited about, is Luis Diaz, who plays at Liverpool. It's really, his journey is actually quite fascinating too, because he's from like a small town from La Guajira, Colombia, which is a northern part of Colombia, and close by to kind of where I'm from. He actually played for my hometown team. Shout out to Junior de Barranquilla, tu papá. It's actually he played in this team. I have a bunch of jerseys here. So this is my hometown team. This is the sacred team for me. And Luis Diaz played there. He did amazing. He won the league. Then he went to Portugal. Then he went to Liverpool, and you guys know his story now. He's really the only superstar there. The other guys are just I would call them average players, kind of like we're talking about an average team in their corresponding clubs, but they're performing well. And then when they came together to play as a national team, I don't know, they just the passion went to like another level, and they became a family, and they're really connecting really nicely, and everything's kind of clicking for us in this tournament. So that's why people are pretty excited about it. And obviously James has he's had ups and downs in the past few years after Real Madrid, different clubs, and he's received a lot of criticism. By the way, James is one of my favorite. I don't know if I would call him one of my idols. We can talk about that if you guys want later on, but he's definitely one of my favorite players in Colombia. Absolutely loved him. I actually watched him we had a U20 World Cup in Colombia in 2011, and I was able to go over there and buy the whole package. I went actually all the way from the start, saw Colombia all the way. I actually bought the final ticket, but Colombia didn't make it to the final. And James was there. That was the first time we saw James in 2011. Wow. And it was amazing to see him. My brother told me he was a special player, and I kind of seen him grow into that. And then 2014, he just blew up, and then he's kind of hop ups and downs. And then now he's not like 100%, I would say, like in his top performance, but he's getting there. And it's coming right at the perfect time, and he's got a wonderful tournament so far. So,
have those ups and downs been attributed to injury or just sort of general performance?
He's had both, I think, injury, performance. So if you guys remember, also I think it has to do a lot of like with managerial support, in my opinion.
Sure.
Ancelotti was the one that brought him to Real Madrid, and Ancelotti is one of big fan of James. He actually brought him to Bayern Munich, then he brought him to Everton, and then when he left, it was just not the same. And you know how it is, managers like different players, and then I think sometimes I think James maybe wasn't like 100% focused, concentrated. So that probably has something to do with it. But he every time he plays for Colombia, people criticize him, but I mean, from my point of view, he's always given 100%, just dedicated. He absolutely loves playing for the country.
He's been lauded in this tournament, right? Hasn't he had a pretty outstanding show?
Outstanding, so if you guys remember in 2014 World Cup, he was a top scorer. He was scoring a lot. He actually won the best goal of the year, the Puskas Award, and he won the top scorer for the World Cup, which was pretty impressive already for a Colombian to win that award. And then in this tournament, he's leading on assist, that's really what he does. He's number 10 playmaker. I mean, like from the time of Carlos Valderrama, he's really my idol. If you guys were talking about idols, we've never really had a number 10 playmaker like Valderrama until I would say now with James. I would say, I don't know if you guys how much of the Colombian team you guys know, but there's another guy that I really, really love. He comes in once in a while.
Oh, maybe it's not that guy. I have my own favorite Colombian player just from watching a couple games this tournament. But who's this guy you're referring to?
So his name is funny enough, Quintero. He's we call him Quinterito because he's small. Juan Fernando Quintero, fantastic player, left-footed. He plays very, very similar to James. So the cool thing is that if you take James out and Nestor Lorenzo wants somebody similar, you got Quintero there, and he's performed really, really well so far. Last game that you guys saw with Uruguay, he had to bring James out because James had a yellow card, and the game was very heated, and we didn't want to lose another player. He didn't put Quintero in because we needed just to basically park the bus, the whole second half, which was, so frustrating and painful. But that was the only way, really, that we could defeat Uruguay. There's no other way, really. And Nestor Lorenzo played his strategy, and it worked, so.
Man, your heart must have been pretty high at that second half. I mean, going into the locker room, I can't imagine the tense feeling knowing that you have 50 minutes of just pure exertion ahead of you, pure heart. So they're on what is it, like 26-game win streak too?
That's right. Yeah, to be quite honest, I didn't think about, they started talking about that like just before the tournament. I wasn't even paying attention to that. I know they're undefeated, and I knew they were undefeated in the qualifiers, in the World Cup qualifier. They're the only we're the only undefeated team in the World Cup qualifiers. We're not on the top. Argentina is on the top, then Uruguay, and then we're third place. But we're the only one undefeated, which is pretty impressive so far. And then people started talking about it, and then we beat some friendly games that, to be quite honest, friendly games is like, sometimes I don't even count that. But, we beat like Germany, and we beat Spain in the West Ham Stadium. I was actually there at that game, which was a lot of fun. So people start talking about it. Oh, we beat Germany, we beat, Spain, and you know how it is, like, people. Yeah. So I'm a little bit more cautious about like, okay, let's keep our head kind of down on earth, and let's play our game, So is
And
fortunately it's worked for us so far.
and you said in those last 2 years that the team has really been restructured. Is it does Lorenzo, does he switch up the roster much, or has it been pretty steady?
I think it's pretty steady, depending on obviously like fitness, merit, performance, how you're performing in your clubs. So something that you guys have noticed in the tournament, that it's our number 9, our top striker is Borré, who played in Germany for Frankfurt. He did fantastic there. He doesn't play there anymore. He plays in Brazil now. But he's actually from my hometown, Baranquilla, Colombia. Shout out to Baranquilla, Colombia. He's a really fantastic player at the club level, but in the national team, he's had mixed performance. But he's really, we're trying to find somebody that can replace Falcao, and it's so difficult, So Borré is kind of trying. We're trying to do that with Borré, but if you guys notice in the first and second game, Lorenzo started Borré, and then with Brazil, we were like, not really performing well. And then the other thing about Borré that I found out, I was actually listening to like another reviewer, was that he actually, in that top spot, he actually plays a lot of defense. So he like wears himself out a lot, So what happens is when he has a ball, he needs to score, because that's really pretty much his priority job. I just don't think he has the power and the energy to finish like Falcao did, So Lorenzo actually changed the player, and he took Borré out, and he put John Cordova in, who I must confess I really didn't know much about Cordova. And Cordova was fantastic in Brazil, just unbelievable. He scored that goal that was invalidated because it was offside, and then Borré played against Panama in the quarterfinals, and then we're not seeing Cordova play against Panama, and then we're not seeing Borré anymore, So I think Cordova took his spot, and Borré is on the bench,
I think they say that in most tournaments, after 2 or 3 games, the people that end up winning it change something. Italy do it, or France, Deschamps done it for the World Cup. He just changes the system or something. Things like that. I'd be scared if I was Boris in Argentina right now. You've got the James in the 32, 33, 34 era. I've seen so many players go through a huge dip, then make a comeback when they feel free. Like when they're slightly older and go, this is it. This is my stage. I'm the leader. We're going to do this. And then you've got that story as well. You just think, oh, it's happening. You must think that, right?
Yeah. The other, there are other really key players that have made a difference in the Colombia team. Obviously, you guys know Munoz plays in Crystal. He's had a fantastic season in Crystal Palace. Unfortunately, he got a red card, and he was the one that actually put us in a difficult spot last game. But he has been amazing, just amazing. I really like him. But one of the other really, really players that I absolutely love is number 6, Richard Rios. And his story is actually really cool. He plays, he used to play, he's very young, he's like 23. He used to play futsal professionally in Brazil. He never really played like 11s, And then the story goes that some Brazilian scouts, went to see him. He played futsal in Colombia. And then some Brazilian scouts came to see him, and they told him, can you come to Brazil? We want you to play in Brazil. He was like, okay, which futsal team you want me to play? He was like, no, we want you to play full size 11s. And he was like, oh, I don't play that. That's not my game. He's like, can you try it? And he, he got in there and he has been like killing it in Brazil. And then he got called to the national team, and he's our number 6 in the midfield, and he's just fantastic, player. So
this is like the Mighty Ducks style,
Exactly.
compiling a
Yeah.
team of all these different
Rich,
characters.
let's get our
from
Colombia
different
shirt now.
Small
Let's get 'em.
cities. Yeah. See, you need these sort of biographies and narratives to make sense of,
Yeah, I
make it
just saw. I saw a
natural.
video of so the 24. If you guys remember the 2014 World Cup, we had a guy named Carlos Sanchez. He played in West Ham, I believe, midfield, and he was that like that midfield, that hybrid midfield that could attack and defend and everything. And he was so good, but since that, we haven't been able to replace that player. And then now we have Richard Rios, and I just saw a video of a guy that was comparing both Carlos Sanchez and Richard Rios, and that's absolutely true. So
I'm going to reveal my favorite Colombian player.
Oh yeah.
Mina. Yeah,
Oh,
Mina.
okay.
Man, just his look. He's just like this classic, classic center back, central defense, and you just feel like you're safe when there's a man like that, behind you. He looks like somebody from the 90s, kind of, like they don't make them like this anymore. But
yeah. So Mina's story is really cool too. So when he was playing in England in Everton, if you remember, fantastic, just killing it, solid center back and everything. And he played in the 2014 World Cup. That was our center back, he hasn't really been performing. He's not in England anymore. I think he's in I want to say in Turkey or Russia. I can't remember. But he hasn't really been performing like top like he did before. So he's on the bench. And we have a couple other center backs that have been really good. The one guy that was kind of like on the verge to go to the bench, but like took it up a notch at the very last minute was Davison Sanchez, who played in the one and only Tottenham Spurs.
Yeah.
And
another one with a story, with a comeback.
Yeah. And he's been like solid. He was also a little bit kind of, and then he's been just solid at the back.
So fast.
Even scoring. So it's been fantastic. Just fantastic story from all these players. By the way, I think I just said Jerry Mina playing the 2014 World Cup, and that's not true. That was
you could have made it up, and it would have slipped past me for sure.
A while back. But he's been really solid in the past few years for Colombia. Unfortunately, I think in the past, like maybe 1 or 2 years, he hasn't really been performing. So Nestor called him to be on the bench.
But he came in for Uruguay to build.
That's
that
right.
wall
He
of
came
defense,
in because we needed to park the bus, and we sacrificed some players there, and he performed really well. And he's like, I know why you like him. I mean, he's a fantastic player, but he also has this like really cool personality. A lot of people just love his like happy, just outgoing kind of personality. Very, you can see that he enjoys it a lot. And unfortunately, I think in the past 2 years, he has been kind of mixed performance, and then some people are not happy with his performance. But he's a fantastic player. So.
Yeah, I think it's with my cursory knowledge of the outside 6 Premier League teams, just seeing a familiar face is always a nice thing on a South American team where I feel a little bit lost. I'm just swimming in names that I'm pronouncing slightly wrong. So, no, but yeah, very cool, man. This has been I could listen to you forever, hearing these backstories of players. I feel like sorry, Boris, I'm not caring for Argentina anymore. I don't know anything about your players.
We've got the best correspondent
about the
in the
Argentina
country.
team. Really solid team. fantastic team. It's just it's really for us is the dream final, right? To be able to play against Argentina in the final of Copa America is just it's just fantastic. So we're thrilled. We're thrilled to play against such a World Cup champions.
So sorry, who's what's the stadium hosting?
The Miami Stadium, right? The Beckham Stadium.
There we go.
Right?
Oh, really? Is the capacity very high there?
The Hard Rock. Is it? Oh no, maybe not. Sorry, maybe I'm. No, it's not. It's not the. Well, it is where the Miami, the Inter Miami plays, obviously in Miami, but it's the Hard Rock Stadium is where the football team plays, right? Isn't it?
Hard Rock Stadium. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Dolphins. The Dolphins play.
Is it the Dolphins?
Yes, it is. It's the Dolphins.
Is this a newer stadium? It's not. It's not registering to me.
Yeah, you got me there.
You would think they'd choose like past 5 years built stadium sort of thing.
So the Inter Miami, they built a stadium for Inter Miami, but you're right. That's a smaller stadium that's just for them for the soccer team. But this one, I don't know. I don't know about the Miami Dolphins Stadium yet.
Built in 87. Built in 87.
87. Okay.
It's ancient. We got to put our best foot forward for these tournaments, right? Obviously, Bielsa's probably shaking his head at the choice of the 1987 built stadium for the final. We got to go to SoFi Stadium.
That's actually one of my. I absolutely love going to stadiums and doing stadium tours. You guys know that. I love going to England and going to see. So in this tournament, I saw some really fantastic stadiums. The NRG Stadium in Houston. I've never been in a fully enclosed stadium where they can play football because all I know is really Soldier Field. But for them to enclose it and have air conditioning is just fantastic. And then we went to Phoenix for the State Farm Stadium where the University of Phoenix plays and also fully enclosed. So that was a wonderful experience. The only thing I didn't like it was the heat of Phoenix was just brutal. And then Phoenix.
Was it in the 100?
It was like 110 degrees Fahrenheit and like really brutal. And nothing against Phoenix, but there's really it was a small city. There's really not much to do there. I still don't understand why we didn't get any games here in Chicago. I mean, Chicago is such a fantastic city for tourism and for soccer and a lot of soccer fans. We would have probably sold their field for a Copa America. We've done it before in 2016.
Is it a matter of turning it down or not?
Yeah, we turned it. I think it was the leadership, right? Major and turn it down, unfortunately. But yeah, it's just
there's Chicago Fire games that need to be played there at this time, so it'd be difficult to coordinate.
And NASCAR races, right?
Right.
That was the problem, probably.
And then it was San Francisco, Levi Stadium.
That's right. So I had mixed feelings about the Levi Stadium.
You're not gonna hurt my feelings.
Sorry.
My heart's not in Santa Clara.
Beautiful town. Really. I mean, it is Silicon Valley. And a lot of offices and Google and Apple and I was actually really excited because I wanted to take a break from the heat of Houston and Phoenix. San Francisco is cooler. And when we arrived, it was really nice, the temperature. And then the temperature started like increasing. And that's not enclosed, it's all outdoors. And so it was like in the 90s and the sun was just kind of blasting on my face. But unfortunately, I think it wasn't maybe the stadium's fault or anything. It was the security and safety of that stadium for that game was really bad. And we were in a situation. I try to share with you guys in our group chat that it got really scary actually, because the masses, there was no line to get in through security. The masses were just behind us, and everybody would just started pushing because it was already almost time for the game. And my wife Alicia was very, very nervous. They started pushing her. Then she got in front of me. She couldn't see me. She started calling me. She was like, "I hope I don't fall, because if you fall, people get step on you." And then people started like knocking down the tables. They knocked down the security, the detector. So we didn't even show our tickets. I think people got in there for free, really.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it was
man.
quite scary moment there. And unfortunate, that the security, and then the security people were there. They were just looking at us, and I'm like, do something. Like, can you guys, because the detectors were not quick enough, right? And so I was like, why don't you guys just start manually checking people and letting more people in, because this is gonna get really scary in a minute. And there were cops there, not enough. And then it got to the point that the masses just started pushing. They couldn't do anything really, because there's only a few of them. And so it was just not. And then one of the just basic things that I've seen in all the other stadiums, this is kind of common sense. Put the metal, separation so that people can line up. This stadium had none of that. So there was people did not really, there's no line really. Everything's like a mass going through a funnel, imagine that, So obviously, if you don't really show people how they need to be organized, people are not going to be organized. So
incredible.
Yeah,
man. Yeah, I've been in a couple times in my life. I've been in that sort of flood of people, and you hear about fatalities of that sort, and it's like you quickly understand how dangerous that situation is when you're, just feeling like liquid in a mass of flesh. It's like it's terrifying. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Without you kind of telling this story, you're never going to hear about it. I mean, I know Bielsa I was joking about that, but he is talking about how it's just like you don't hear about it in the media. You hear about some complaints about the pitch quality and stuff, but, stuff like that is pretty severe, and, there need to be better standards in place. So,
yeah, organization, I think, is key. Especially safety and security, number one, right? People need to be safe, need to feel safe, right? I mean, we don't have safety, we have nothing really.
Yeah, I mean, that's like that, with that Champions League final versus Liverpool, Madrid, was that last year, where there was like all that issue and the kickoff was postponed and everything like that. And it's just like, that really dissuaded me from wanting to participate in like any of these really high profile matches. Like, I don't want to be a part of that. You hear about, hooligans kind of, or lunatics kind of in the fray. Like, no, thank you. I'll watch on TV. But, yeah. Well, and that was, so you did the three group games and then one additional, or am I making things up?
So right, yeah. So my wife and I, we always take at least like a couple weeks vacation in the summers. My wife is a Spanish teacher, and by the way, I just saw that you're drinking your nice beer there. Great, and I saw some of your episodes where you guys open a beer right away, but I haven't. Are we not doing that, or?
No, I wasn't sure of your listenership, so I didn't want to like ask you to make sure you brought a beer in addition to going on Skype. It just felt like a big ask.
I have
All right.
my beer.
What have you got?
Oh, look at this.
This is the best one.
Carlos, you deserve it. You deserve a three-peater episode. Like, this is there's too much.
Good Lord.
I'm getting thirsty,
territory to cover.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna open my Club Colombia.
I'm sorry to have left it abandoned.
I've been like looking at it, like, when is he gonna ask me to like?
we got straight into it, and then I felt like I don't want to derail this with this stupid beer talk, and then even risking the fact that Carlos might not have a beer. So I just opted to drink mine quietly, but
That's funny, yeah.
and then Jess has no sign of beverage either. So
he's got
This is really weird. Rich, for your right side of your brain, because you're the creative one, I'm drinking an English tea in a Spanish mug. So tell me what that means.
Mug.
You tell me what that means, because I played this morning with Ivan, Willis, and everyone at House Park at 7 a.m. So if I have a beer, I might just close my eyes. So this is an English tea in a Spanish cup. How about that?
I actually have my side beverage is a little art mug that a student gave me, and it's full of yerba mate because I needed the extra kick after a pretty long couple of days. So I don't know. Do Colombians drink yerba mate, or is that too pro-Argentinian?
Yeah, no, café, por favor, café, coffee.
I mean, this morning I had a couple cups.
So I was just gonna ask, do you guys only do the shows at night, or do you do them like in the morning time too?
Man, I really have high ambitions for morning, and Boris and I had the conversation. Like, I'm just so inflexible with the timing with the bedtimes and stuff.
Right.
I would love to do a morning episode because I feel like I'm sort of a morning person. I'm just running on all cylinders in the morning. At night, I really have to rally. So
if you want to do a part 2, like in the morning, I'll bring my café, café colombiano. So that's my other go-to, but yeah, I wasn't never really like in my life a beer or alcohol drinker. So I drink it like occasionally, like you guys have seen me. I'll just do like 1 or 2. Like I'm not but yeah, I mean it's really cool in social events just to kind of like have a drink and so I do enjoy it. It's just more for like hanging out and so this is my go-to. And actually I just found out there's a Colombian store on Lawrence near Central and Lawrence in Chicago, because the one I go to, unfortunately they've lost some of the Colombian products inventory, so I couldn't find beers anymore. That's where I get the aguardiente for Rafa. When he wants me to bring aguardiente, which is our Colombian tequila, cheap tequila. So I found this new store I'm really excited about. They got all these different products, and I was able to find, the Colombia. So I'll bring you guys some of these ones tomorrow for the finals. So.
Done. There we go.
I'm gonna start it. Is that okay?
Well, let's hear it.
I don't know if you can hear.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful.
And felt like that.
So cheers.
Sound gave me the
cheers.
Cheers.
Toasting to England. Big final win tomorrow.
Big win.
Yes. It's coming. It's coming home, Jess.
It's coming home. You promise?
You're rocking
just the only person I trust. So
I'm rocking this tomorrow. Okay. So
that's when we used to be good. Oh my goodness! Right. Look at that.
That's right. And then final Colombia tomorrow, hopefully.
Oh, no hope. You've just told us everything we need to hear. You've already won.
I think it's really interesting because Colombia does have this English resonance, right? There's some English tradition in Colombia, is there not? Or am I mixing it up with Chile? Isn't there like tea time observed in like some Colombian culture?
No,
I think I'm mixing
it up. We don't drink tea. Tea is the only thing about England that I do not like.
You're there more than I am. You're always there.
I don't understand tea, to be honest, and I don't like. So I'll have
Colombian. You're supposed to like coffee. I mean,
that's right. Yeah, if you're this is my problem with tea, and no offense, Jess. Okay,
try it.
Okay, this is every time I go to England, and you guys know I go to England like twice or 3 times per year for work. Okay. If you're going to have, so this tea for me should be like herbal, non-caffeinated tea. Like I'm like clearing myself and like, you know, kind of chilling, soothing, relaxing. That's what tea sounds like for me.
Yeah.
But English tea is, and my wife loves English breakfast tea. It's got caffeine in it. It's like coffee, you know? So I'm like, well, if you're going to have caffeine in it, you should have coffee, not tea. You know,
we started with tea. That's the thing. It's inherent. Now there's more coffees, of course, and now there's more teas in America. You know, it's just the way it goes. Yeah. But yeah, that's how it goes. We just started with caffeinated tea.
And then you know what I also find really, really just I do not understand.
Oh, here we go. Go on.
You put milk in the tea. I was like, that just blows my mind. Like, why?
Latte? I mean, what's the difference?
Tea for me is like it's water based. It shouldn't have any caffeine in it. It's so that I can, like, you know what, clear my sinus and you know I'm good to go for bed. You know, that's what tea is.
Well, that is what tea is for people in America. That is what tea is. But we use it as our coffee as well. We have two types of tea.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I'm with Carlos here. If tea time, I can't really get excited about it. Like little sandwiches and tea. That I'm not looking forward to that.
You haven't lived, Richard.
Like maybe if there's like a Yorkshire Terrier or something, maybe I could get excited about that aspect of it. But the tea and crumpets or whatever you're eating.
Well, the funny thing is, I go to the office in England and they tell me, you know, you want to have some tea. Yeah. So I go to the table. They set it up, they mix it, and they do everything. It looks just like coffee. You know, it really looks like coffee.
That's our coffee. I've never drunk a cup of coffee in my life. I've never drunk a cup of coffee in my life, Carlos. You won't believe it. I've never drunk. It's one of my famous facts. I've never drunk a cup of coffee.
Okay. Holy cow.
I just have 42 teas a day.
No,
the listenership of this program just went up tenfold hearing that drop. That's incredible.
I mean, that's why it's called cafe. You know, it has caffeine in it.
Yes.
It's so that you can do your day. You can live your life. You know, it's beautiful. It just wakes you up. You know, and the taste is just, you know, delicious.
I'm kind of scared because for about up to the age of about 25, if I drank a coffee, I'd look like I was on hard drugs because I'm kind of high energy anyway. So I think it wouldn't have been smart. So we'll see now. Now I'm really tired all day long. Maybe I should get some coffee.
Jess, do you have ceremony to your coffee or your tea drinking?
What do you mean ceremony? Explain.
Yeah, I mean, is there like some Japanese tea ceremony going on where it's like an English style? How do you prepare it? Is it just electric
a tea
kettle
bag, water down my
electric
throat?
kettle
That's
or what?
It's I use the Keurig machine with just pressed water. That's it.
Okay.
And just the
what
tea bag.
Is this Lipton?
No. And I'm gonna give Carlos some real tea bags. I'm gonna test him out here. I'm gonna buy some for him.
Twinings was that?
Yeah, Twinings one of the best, but there's others as well. I'm gonna send a few to him. I think.
You know, my good friend who lives in London, he brought me back a gift last time he came to the US, and it was this really beautiful, like the Queen's tea, this loose leaf tea, and it is in this beautiful tin. And
from Harrods?
I don't know. I'm not really quite sure, but it looked expensive. Yeah. For one, I don't really have any of the satchels to actually put the loose leaf in to enjoy it. Then anyway, Carlos, I don't really drink English tea. I drink yerba mate. I drink some herbal teas, but that's about it. And then we're cleaning out the kitchen to prepare for this remodel, and I find this tin in the garbage because Anna was just like, "You never use this," and it was like she's right, but it was also very kind of, you know, nostalgia, or you know, some piece of memorabilia, really, you know. So I kept it. It's somewhere. I don't know where she put it eventually, but I do respect your culture Sounds like Carlos is a little bit less.
So again,
He's right.
Jess, please. You know, I love Jess and I love England. That's a team I support in Europe, and I absolutely
I
love going
know.
over there. I would love to live in England, believe it or not. But the T is just not
I'm going to
happening.
tell him to
It's the
stop
deal
it.
breaker.
Yeah, I'm going
It's
to
a
tell him
deal
to
breaker.
stop it.
Do you guys watch Ted Lasso?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't. But
So that's the one thing that Ted doesn't like about England. He's like,
That's
what is
true.
that? Like,
That is true. Ted Lasso,
Carlos,
the only person alive that knows all the jokes, because half the jokes are American, half the jokes are more English based, and I'm the only person that gets both. So I love that show. It's pretty cool.
one of my favorite shows, hands down.
Yeah, it's a great show.
Inspiring family show. Great.
Yeah, it is. Good
so
story.
Carlos, how is the cafe in Colombia traditionally prepared? Is it like a pour over or?
Well, so there's different types that people can do, but I think that standard is in the morning you normally have a café con leche, which is coffee with milk or latte, you know, in Italian. So it's just that's what you have with breakfast, café con leche, you know, and you have it with obviously with sugar, without sugar, and it's delicious. It's a big cup, you know, and you have it with your breakfast, with your arepas, and that's breakfast, right? Then after lunch, we have what we call tinto, which is basically a smaller cup, you know, kind of like an espresso shot of black coffee, no milk, and loaded with sugar, you know, and that's our kind of like our dessert, and then we just kind of, you know, wake up, you know. So every time I go, when you know, when my grandma was alive, rest her soul, like, you know, I would love it because many things, but after lunch the tradition that they will offer me, you know, tinto, which is the little coffee shot, and it's just beautiful. It's like un postre, you know, dessert for us, and it kind of wakes you up and you can keep going, you know,
Yeah.
in the afternoon. So that's kind of the tradition.
So is it made on a stove though? Like, is it are
Yeah,
there grounds
yeah.
and then?
I mean, so yeah, the traditional way is they didn't have any like coffee makers or like
Right.
espresso machines or anything like that.
Mm.
So they would make it on the you know, on the top of the stove and filter it, right? And then you add milk to it, you know. So
Pretty dark and heavy, or?
well, the coffee with milk is not, you know, it's like a latte if you go to like Starbucks and you get a latte. And the tinto is strong. It's like an espresso, you know. So by the way, now that I mentioned Starbucks, I have a funny story about I went to England. I took my team from work, my team that I just recruited, and the most recent team that I just recruited, they're mostly not from the United States. I recruit engineers from all over the world, so they're from a lot of different places. And believe it or not, even the ones from the United States had never been in a Starbucks before. Yeah. So I asked them, do you guys want to go to Starbucks? And they're like, oh yeah, we never been. I'm like, really? You've never been in a Starbucks? That's crazy.
What city are they from?
I was in Manchester. And they're from different countries. Like I have people from Canada, from Italy, from Czech Republic, from China,
But the training was in Manchester. It's just
the
training
was in Manchester,
okay.
right? Yeah. So we go to the Trafford Center, the shopping mall, and I tell them, well, why don't you guys come over? I invite you to Starbucks. So I order my coffee. They're in line. You know, the first one comes, looks at the menu, and she's like, can I have a lemonade? And I'm like, a lemonade? What are you doing? Yeah, I don't really drink coffee. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Just lemonade for her. Then the other one comes in. I want the same lemonade. And I'm like, you guys are killing me. Like, what is going on? And there's like, you know, there's 9 of them, and all of them, the only one that ordered coffee which I was proud of, was the Italian, you know, I'm like, I'm never bringing you to Starbucks anymore. This is ridiculous, you know. Like, how can you come
Well,
to Starbucks?
what time of day was it? Was it maybe too late? Had they already had their coffee and
This
caffeine?
was early afternoon after we just got off work, like maybe 4 o'clock.
See,
Carlos.
it's the timing, Carlos.
These
You're
are
coffee
youngsters.
obsessed.
They don't
No,
need
but it
coffee to
doesn't
stay
matter,
alive like
like,
we do. Like the kids.
They don't.
Yeah,
they
my
don't.
rule
They
is
don't even drink coffee in the
no.
morning either. The
Oh, they
only
don't.
one that
Are you
really
sure?
drank
Are
coffee
you
was the
sure?
Italian, really.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Who doesn't drink coffee in this world? I mean, aside
Believe
from
it or not,
the
no,
purest Englishman.
So I have these young engineers on my team, and they're probably going to listen to this podcast. Shout out to my team. You know, they drink, what is it, matcha, and like all this like new drinks and stuff like that.
That's cool.
One of
That's
my
hip.
engineers gave me some of it, and it was really nice and everything. But I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm from Colombia. I mean, cafe is cafe. You know. I mean, you gotta
Okay.
have to.
So they do get their caffeine fixed through.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Some of them. Well, it was funny. Sorry, I have a lot of stories about my team, but another time, during this training, we stay all in the same hotel and we have breakfast, right? And then sometimes some of my engineers, they come to breakfast and they're all sleepy. You know, I'm like, you want some coffee? We gotta go. I gotta train you. You know. No, I don't drink caffeine. I don't drink caffeine. Okay, what do you drink? Oh, I'll have some green tea. You know, I'm like, green tea has caffeine in it. Like
lower doses though to their.
Yeah, but I mean,
yeah.
you're basically tricking yourself that you're not having coffee because of the caffeine, but then you're giving your body caffeine from like another type of source. You're like cheating because it really should be coming from the coffee, right? So
man, I've never felt so old hearing about these younger generations and their movements towards anti-caffeine lifestyles.
Yeah,
I feel like maybe I need to be
kids,
that.
didn't I?
Yeah, these kids, what are they thinking? Man, here I am drinking yerba mate at 9 p.m. This must be terrible for my health.
Has caffeine in it too, right?
It has a lot of caffeine. It has more than any other tea.
Are you going to be able to go to sleep?
That's the thing about me, man. I can't read a paragraph. Jeez, I might read 2 tonight. That's what the yerba mate will do to me.
Anyway, sorry for my rant about coffee, but we can change the subject.
I love coffee. Thank you. I do think there'll be a time when we have the AM podcast and we'll all be sipping coffee while Jez is off to the side with his lonely cup of tea.
Yes.
Man, so I did want to make that's just two coming back. I lost my opportunity to make an observation. And at this point, I think we're deep into Carlos's Colombian self to say. So Baranquilla, is that the hometown you said? Okay, and this is outside of, I mean, a lot of us know Medellin and Bogota. Right. So where's this closer to?
Yeah, so a lot of people, when they meet Colombians, first of all, we're not all from the same town. Okay, there's a lot of different towns in Colombia, and we have different accents. For most of the Colombians that you will meet in your life, do not speak like I do. They will probably be speaking like people from Bogota, which is the capital, or people from Medellin. Those are like probably the top two. A third city will be Cali, so maybe you might hear some accents about Cali. Really, all the cities in Colombia, I have so much to discover in Colombia. I've been in Bogota many times. I've not been in Medellin or Cali. I want to go. Beautiful cities. I hear they're beautiful cities.
Wow, that's amazing that you haven't been.
I've never been. Yeah, I've been in many cities in Colombia, but mostly central, like the capital, and then in the coast, in the northern coast, Atlantic coast area, kind of where I'm from. And that's kind of, even in the coast, in the Atlantic coast, we have different accents, believe it or not. Barranquilla, which is the Shakira's hometown too. If you hear her speaking, she's got the accent, the Barranquilla accent. Is one of the main cities in the country of Colombia. It's called. It has several nicknames, but one of the nicknames it has is called La Puerta de Oro de Colombia, which means the golden door, because all the importing kind of enter way back when entered through Barranquilla. So very industrial city, a lot of like workers, not very touristic. I mean, it has some tourism in it, but I wouldn't recommend you to go to Barranquilla to see the beautiful beaches or anything like that. If you want tourism, I would recommend Cartagena. Maybe you guys have heard of Cartagena, which is 1 hour south of Barranquilla. That's the kind of like the beautiful city with the castle and the city inside the wall, similar to San Juan, Puerto Rico, and beautiful beaches too. So that's what. By the way, that reminds me of another story with Yusuf. If you guys want to hear that.
Oh man, Yusuf has to tell that.
Yeah,
that
it's
tale
funny.
when his life was in jeopardy.
He asked me. That's right. So you know the story, right? He tells me he wants to go to Colombia. Barranquilla is in the northern part of Colombia. That's a very warm weather, happy people. There are people that really are very friendly, sometimes too friendly. So believe it or not, they will ask you, do you need anything on the street, right? They're super friendly. And then also, fun fact, that's we call that La Casa de la Selección, which is the home of the Colombian national team, because that's where we play all the qualifiers in Barranquilla. Because some people believe, including myself, that that's the best stadium and we will never lose there. Other people in Colombia might disagree with me.
Wow. So in terms of population, what order is Baranquilla?
City. It's several million people. I don't remember what population. So it's a big city.
So not it's like as big fourth behind Cali.
Yeah, okay. I would say it's the fourth. Yeah, I don't know the numbers exactly, but I would say it's top five for sure.
So it's as I understood, it's a coastal city or
coastal. Yeah, coastal, okay. Right by the Atlantic coast. Northern, closer to the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So it's a port city like Manchester on the Atlantic, right?
Yeah, I mean,
he's a United fan. There's some connections here, right? Some identity
you
linkage.
Want to connect with the England, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm grasping at the stars here. I'm trying to find some sort of consolation.
I would say Manchester is industrial town.
Yeah, for sure. Right.
And
not touristy either. Yeah. True.
See, there's something there.
Or coastal, or hot, or beautiful.
Yeah.
Sorry, Northerners.
It's the Dortmund of England. No, not really. So I want to get to this. I mean, let's give a little family background. Do you come from a football family?
So, not really, I think. So my story is a little bit strange in the sense that I believe I started playing soccer late. Really, I started playing soccer when I was like 12 or 13 years old.
Get this. It's not uncommon for these guests, right?
Yeah, never
a few
really
late ones.
Yeah. I mean, normally you recommend kids to start playing like around 5 years old. I just I just started coaching in a kids club with a friend of mine has a a club called Youth Soccer International. That's fantastic. Shout out to them. You guys might remember Rolando
Yeah.
Paz.
It's at Alcott School, right?
Yeah,
Kate went a few weeks ago. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, you right in Alcott. Yeah, you bumped into us. Yeah. So they recommend they start. We got kids that are 5-6 years old, and I started playing late. Unfortunately, my dad was really never into soccer, and none of my uncles. I really didn't see any family members playing soccer. So I started playing soccer more because my friends in high school, when I went to high school, that's kind of where I was like, everybody was playing. So I was like, I probably should try it when I was 12 or 13. And I was very happy that I got into it. And fortunately, I had some skill that obviously when you're skillful, you're like, you enjoy it because you get reward, you feel rewarded, so then you continue it, and that's kind of, I started playing in high school. Then I also, by the way, shout out to my high school. Maybe some of my friends might see the podcast too. It's called British International School, BIS, and that's where I learned English because I started going to that school when I was like 4 or 5 years old. It has like from kindergarten all the way to high school. So fantastic school. That's where I learned how to speak and understand English.
Wow.
So
are there British international schools under that same umbrella? Like everyone there?
British. Yeah, you were trying to find a connection.
Well, there's a connection, but
Maybe.
in Vietnam there's a British international school, and I don't know if it's like the same exact
might not be the I don't
institution
know.
or whether that's just like a blanket name that's used for obvious reasons.
So this was I don't think it was Colombian owners.
Okay. All right.
Not but they wanted, I think they it was really cool because it was something different, right? They brought, I mean, most of the schools that taught English probably in Colombia were American, right? American-based English, and he wanted to do something different. So if you look at the school, it's like it has like the London Towers and the entrance, right? The Tower Bridge. So you basically go in there and you kind of feel a little bit like in London, in a way. And then he brought in some. I remember my chemistry teacher was British, so most of them were still American English. So I never really learned how to speak a British accent. I would have loved to learn how to speak with a British accent.
You said Caribbean, not Caribbean. You said Caribbean.
Caribbean.
I pick up everything. So
there you go.
Yeah. You're already there. You're British.
It was that the chemistry teacher was talking about.
I love the British accent. I wish I could do it, but I can't. It was a fantastic school, and that's where I started playing in the high school team. I made the high school varsity team, played with my friends there. Unfortunately, we didn't have the luxury of having this like beautiful like 11-a-side fields. So the game that I learned how to play was small-sided, so we played more like futsal or like 7v7. That's kind of the game I started learn how to play. And I remember when we would go to schools that had a tournament 11-a-side, we would just get trashed. It was pretty frustrating because I really never learned how to play 11s.
So you guys would just adapt to the format that was like the opposing team offered, or?
That's right. Yeah. Some schools they did have like a big size field, and they were like, "You guys can come, but we're gonna play like this," and we were like, "Okay," like we're just playing that.
It's like a Joel meetup. However big the area is, that's what you play.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Were you always a number 10, Carlos? Were you always a number 10? Always?
No. So I started. So I played in high school.
Yeah.
And then I also joined my family. We were part of like a social country club called Club Lagos del Caujaral, and it was a beautiful lake, nearby. And They had a really cool, soccer club, and that was really the time that I really felt like I had a coach that trained me, how to play, taught me things. And started as a defender, actually. I play more like kind of right back, but sometimes he would put me as a center back. And
Wow.
I think it was because at the time I was probably one of the tallest, even though I'm really not that. I'm not tall really compared to, 6-footers.
Yeah.
So, but I did. I think coaches saw that I had a little bit of like control and possession and like distribution and like skill to keep the ball close and strategic thinking. So it slowly kind of they moved me up to the midfield, and I also was able to finish. They saw I was able to finish. I remember one time when I was in this club, I was playing center back, and I grabbed the ball and I started basically dribbling. What they tell you not to do, start dribbling everybody. And then I lost the ball. I was already like ready to score, and then I lost the ball. And then guess what? I had to run back to my position as a center back, and the coach was like, "What the hell?" Like,
This is sounding
so
very familiar to Jez and I think.
Yes.
yeah. So anyway, but he did see that I enjoy that, right? That I enjoyed being a little kind of skillful. So he eventually kind of moved me up. So
Yeah.
that would be my favorite position to play, midfield, if I am fit. If I'm not fit, then I would recommend maybe you bench me, or if I have to play, I would just play as a striker, because then I cannot do any harm.
It just amazes me. You started 12, 13 years old, and
Yeah.
you've got more skill than anybody. Like, yeah.
Yeah, right. Man,
Crazy.
Carlos, the number of times I've made those forward runs thinking, is somebody going to acknowledge my greatness up front and relieve me from my responsibilities in back? And it just never happens. But you must actually have the quality that it gets recognized. That's a testament to your skill.
He does.
No, he definitely does.
He can pass, Rich. He can pass.
We were talking about yesterday, somebody who can play with their back to the goal. Carlos, that's you.
Yeah.
So that would be for me like a number 9, right? Like
well, no, I'm saying more in the midfield though. I think that you're capable.
Yeah,
of
midfield I can play with the back to the goal. Yes. But recently, because again I've been like, my fitness has not been great, I've been playing on the top. It's so difficult. Like I don't have that I guess strategic thinking of like receiving and holding and like turning and finishing. I struggle with that. So normally if I have to play on the top, I go a little bit to the side, like more like a winger or something like that. So
right.
Yeah.
So in your high school life, having started the game so late, like, did you have opportunities to refine your skill and practice with the ball at your feet outside of the organized play at your high school and club?
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of leading into something, because you've taken some incredible videos from your time visiting home.
Yeah, soccer it's just life. Like football is life, right? Danny Rojas from Ted Lasso.
Yes.
Football is life. So we just live and breathe soccer every single day. My friends and I, we don't have to wait for an official game or practice to play. We're playing every day. Every day at lunch break, we would go to the soccer field, and we would come back after lunch to English class, and our English teacher was not very happy because we were all sweating. She would like turn off the fan so that we would be suffering, and it would like force us not to play, which it didn't work really. And then some of my fondest memories of playing soccer back in Colombia is nearby. There was a park called Parque Washington. It's basically a concrete space, really not a soccer field. And we would play a game called bola de trapo, or bola de trapo for like quick short. It just means a ball made out of rags. And the reason for that is because you don't want to bring a fancy soccer ball. People don't have money for fancy soccer balls. So we would just go to this across the street to buy this like ball, little small ball, smaller than a number 3, and just made out of like glue and rag, and it was like a sphere. And we would play like 2v2, 3v3, with a little kind of small goals, so I just saw the episode that you had with Rafa, that he was talking about street soccer in his neighborhood. So it's quite similar to something like that. So you just play street soccer, really. And we would go there every night, and we would start at like 7 o'clock, and we would finish at midnight, basically. So,
Oh my God.
that was yeah. And then we played a game
magic.
we played a game that basically the loser, would buy the winner the famous sancocho de tienda, which is go to the store across the street, and we would get like soda and bread or something like that, like for the losers. Or sorry, the losers would buy the winners. A little bit like a bet, so it was just fantastic as a teenager to do that. And I really, I mean, that's where you get a lot of the skills, on controlling ball possession, keeping the ball close to you. So
no, you need just a playground to test out some of your ideas and things that you see and refine them. And a lot of people just don't have those don't have the repetition, right? So did it have a shell? Or was it
had
consistently in bouncing?
No, it did have a shell. It was like a rubbery, gluish shell, but it bounces very, very low because it's heavy. It just goes, oh, and it just kind of, it doesn't have an energetic bounce like a number 5 or number 4 or something like that. And so, which you probably want it to do that to, keep a ball on the ground and make sure it doesn't go into the street where the cars were, passing by, and so
that video you took when you were back home of the court that you used to play on, like I have a very clear visual of what that was like, and like the surroundings. I mean, there's just a street running parallel to it.
I'm so happy that you remember that video. That's just the fondest memories for me, growing up and going to that park with my friends, and kids in the neighborhood. So
man, it's cool that we had this pretty late start last night, 9:48 or whatever, and I was going by California, and there's the Chicago futsal courts at Horner Park. And it's just nice to see those are actually being put to use. It's taken a little bit of time for the culture to initiate, but those things are pretty occupied throughout the day now. And it has lights, and those things were full of people and families. So I love knowing that, that stuff is happening in our vicinity now.
I wish that was built like 10 years ago when my knees and ankles were young and strong. I love seeing that. That's the kind of games that I basically played back home, futsal, and it's just fantastic to see that the kids are out there, and they're growing in that type of like street soccer type of. It's just fun, kind of fun to see that. So I love. There's actually a couple I told you near my house on Mather High School Park. They turn tennis courts into like futsal courts, and I do see some kids, and I actually saw a coach actually training some kids, like pretty official in that court. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah, it's strange how the dimensions, because the ones we were playing at wherever that was, Kuchek Park or not Kuchek. Where did we have the big competition in the spring? It's something like Costner Park. Those Costner Park ones, they fit 4 into what you would probably fit 3 into, and they're really narrow. It was very interesting, but the ones at Horner are pretty standard, I feel, size. And it's encouraging to also see that they maintain them, because the Horner Park ones, I think 2 years ago, they were looking pretty bad, and they just tore it all up and resurfaced them. So that's what we need. Um, and then so yeah, from high school, college, where did you do your studying?
So yeah, so I graduated high school in Barranquilla, and then I was planning to go to university college in Bogota. I applied to a couple universities. I got into one, and I was kind of ready to start. And the story goes that my auntie, my dad's sister, called my dad. She lived here in Chicago, and she said, if Carlos wants to come to college here, he can stay with me. And At first, so my dad told me about it, and at first I was struggling with that kind of decision, because obviously I had friends and kind of my life there. So it was a kind of big decision to move to another country, and didn't really know anybody, kind of just starting like a new life. So I struggled, with it. But then ultimately, my dad was pretty smart too. He said, "Why don't you try it out for 6 months, and if you don't like it, you can always come back." So he was very supportive. I'm very grateful to my dad, and he's this big visionary that just wants the best for his kids. And so I took the challenge. I came to Chicago, and I really absolutely love Chicago. I've been here before that, just for vacation, like summer vacation with my auntie. So my auntie has always been like a second mom to me. She's been fantastic. God rest her soul. And so she treated me like her child, her son, and I lived with her. And then I was able to go to university in Chicago, and decided that I really loved it, and decided to stay.
Did you go to UIC?
So I started at community college first.
Okay.
So I started at Wright College, Narragansett, on the west
Oh, yeah,
side.
right by me. That's a
Yeah, that's right.
couple blocks from my
Yeah,
school.
love that college too. I was there for like a year, and then I switched to Harold Washington College downtown. So I was there a couple of years. I loved Harold Washington, and then I transferred. Decided that I was gonna study engineering, and then I transferred to UIC, University of Illinois at Chicago, where I finished my engineering degree, studied mechanical engineering there. So.
And what neighborhood was your auntie in at that time?
So my family here has always lived in the north side, kind of where I'm at right now, very close
Okay.
actually. But my auntie lived near like Lawrence, in Western, kind of Lincoln Square area. That was kind of like my old hood, where Chicago Soccer Store
Oh,
is.
so yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, and Horner
Yeah.
Park as well, which we've been talking
that's
about.
right.
Wells
That's
Park,
right. We
right?
we went to that park over there. There's an Aldi's on Montrose that we would go there to groceries.
You're gonna be
And
revisiting the past tomorrow when you come over, I
that's
guess.
right. Yeah, yeah.
That's where we're
By
at
the
at.
way, I bike. I like biking, and I'm biking on that bike path, on River Park, and then I go by
Oh,
Horner
sure.
Park.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then I go to the Chicago Fire Pitch, and then come back. So it takes me like about an hour to do that.
Oh, that's nice. A
So
little you.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I go all the way to Belmont, and then come back to my. So I'm on Devon in California right now. So.
Sweet. Are you technically Rogers Park? Is that
It's West Rogers Park or West Rich, this neighborhood called. Yeah.
okay?
So
Wait,
I'm on
you do
Granville.
that as just sort of a exercise or joyride to
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, it's like low impact on my knees and ankles. Try to stay active. So biking, if I can. So yeah.
Amazing. Um, I wanted to ask so your favorite format, if you were to have your ideal uh competition, is it very small sided? Is it somewhere in between?
You mean for playing?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I would say my favorite is probably like five-a-side futsal. That's kind of my kind of game. But I enjoy sevens, eights, 11s. I just don't know how to play 11s. I always struggle with 11s. I love watching it. People that, I mean, if you know how to play it, it's completely different game in my opinion. And there's so many things, moving parts. It's anything can go wrong. So I would rather go 5-a-side, or 8s if possible. So yeah.
That there was those men's and women's like $1 million tournament a couple months back. Did you see
Yeah,
that?
the soccer tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Really interesting concept. And the team who won it seemed like, sort of just a ragtag group of, semi-professional players. And we got just a lot of like aged past superstars. It was against Nani was in the
La
final team.
Bombonera against Nani's team. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So, but it was so interesting watching that. It's like, man, if I had more exposure to sevens, I think I would play sevens just so much better, more thoughtfully. Because you don't really have any context. You're watching 11s all the time, and then you're playing sevens or 8s and 9s, and they don't translate. It's not the same positions. I don't know.
Yeah. I like a lot more passing and possession and touches, and I think that's accomplished more in a small-sided game. In an 11-a-side game, I think, in my opinion, is fitness, speed, power, strategy, dead balls. So you really can't keep the ball too long, really. Normally you just kind of, it's a very vertical game, right? Because you've got a lot of ground to cover. So
this is it. I mean, you're basically describing what everyone's been saying about the Euros versus the Copa America. Our upbringings, Carlos. I was 10 years old playing 11-a-side on a field that was massive.
Yeah.
It's about where you stood, don't make mistakes, keep in position, fitness, speed, versus, but we're so uncomfortable on the ball because you only have it for a second, you give it to someone else. Whereas you look at the Copa and I said it's UFC meeting ballet this tournament, and that's what it's like on these futsal courts. It's aggressive, and you've got to keep possession, and you're going for it, and you're all. It's two different sports, and people have been saying it this whole July. It just looks like two different sports. Crazy.
Yeah, it really does. It really does highlight the differences of culture or soccer culture. But it was to the point of like strong, tall, physical endurance players. I played in one of the early bird meetups for CFRS, or those open pickups, and that was on Wednesday. And it was interesting because they were playing like one of their, I don't know what it was, maybe U17, 18. These kids were pretty old, but it was their academy kids. And just like every kid, looks like a full grown man. They're just like athletes first and foremost. And you can see very clearly how they select their players.
Same in England. When the best player in the world's 5'5". I mean,
yeah, exactly. You see
silly.
that contrast of like,
same in England. The Americans do what we do. Yeah, they just pick the biggest athletes.
It's a bit unfortunate. I mean, I understand that when you're side by side in these players, there's this great divide between like speed and fitness, or speed and power. It seems like there's this clear choice, but it's not. It just doesn't play out that way because the game has all these beautiful nuances, But what I wanted to say earlier about the Southgate Lorenzo sort of Selección versus who you're choosing for the England 11 or the 23-man squad or whatever. Do you feel like with Southgate, there's so much pressure to choose the big names that prevent you from compiling a team that is going to fill out the positions for greatest utility? Whereas with a Colombian team, you have a little bit more freedom as a manager to select players that might not have that notoriety of club or name, and then there's a little bit more freedom to compile a comprehensive, cohesive unit. Is it like, because if Southgate doesn't choose one of the players that he has, I mean, Grealish, he gets a lot of flack for, probably from all the Grealish diehards. It's hard to make a team without stars when people expect
subs have
their
won in the
stars.
games. The subs have
Yeah,
won
exactly.
in the games.
Well,
That's
yeah,
the
right.
thing. And I was
So-
going to say earlier, it sounds like with Lorenzo, this Yogi Low kind of thing, where he was the assistant before, and he's got that DNA to be able to do what he wants, right?
Yeah.
Does he get the respect?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So, in my opinion, first thing for managers is, I mean, you have to select someone that, is going to be respected. Like, I mean, you gotta like have a manager that's going to inspire respect, leadership, right? That the players are going to listen to, right? That they admire. That
Greg Berhalter.
Yeah. That they look up to, right? Otherwise, you're swimming against the current, right? You're just is not going to, why am I am a successful player, maybe a superstar. Why should I listen to this guy, right? So, yeah.
So Lorenzo checks that box because of that Peckerman
I think
association.
so. I think so. Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's made some decisions that, for the most part, I think people have agreed on, because sometimes, like, we select managers that there's there's a divide that people don't like. I mean, I don't know. Some people maybe might question his decision to leave Cuadrado out of the tournament, even though Cuadrado has not been performing in his club recently, but he's still kind of representing the country in a global scale, and I think he would have maybe made a difference, right? But I mean, I trust him that he's the manager. He makes the decisions, and it's difficult now because, I mean, you got Munoz, and it's difficult to compete, right? This was the debate I had with Pandi, right? That Cuadrado is a right back, but in my opinion, he should be more of a winger, So, but
I'll never forget that Saturday morning where that was debated for about 5 hours.
For a
And
while,
it was like, this is the epitome of miscommunication on a group thread.
But I mean, I guess we're lucky. We're lucky that we have so many players to choose from, or he's lucky, right? That it's a difficult decision. It's a good problem to have when you have a lot of players that make us. I mean, I actually really like Grealish. I wish he would be in that team. I think he could make a difference in. The problem I have with England, and trust me, I get frustrated even though I'm not British, but I've just watched that game, and just frustrated because you need people like sometimes you need people like Foden, more to do something else than you're too predictable. You have to do something else
like
that
Palmer,
is not
right?
predictable. Yeah, I mean, you cannot just wait on Bellingham to basically, finish the game for you all the time, right? And Foden is trying, but you need somebody else, right? I would have liked to see Grealish there, but I mean, I was actually in San Francisco watching the England game with British, a couple of British guys there. I think they were there for work. The guy was just fuming, really, just frustrated, watching that game. But it was unbelievable win at the end. And
where'd you go to watch this? I gotta ask.
I was in a hotel, in the Hilton Hotel, right next to 49er stadium, the Levi Stadium.
So is that the
so-
hotel?
Yeah, Hilton Santa Clara Hotel,
Okay.
which is really nice, by the way, just walking distance from the stadium. So I booked all the hotels right next to stadiums. Really the best decision. Really, really nice.
Nice.
And we were watching the game, and I don't know, Jess, if you feel like this, but one of the problems that Southgate has is that because they have the talent and they have the skill, but I think he tells them, do this. I don't want you to do anything else. Like, do this,
What did we just say?
Yeah. Like, so you also, as a manager, you have to trust in your players, right? Just like you're asking the players to trust you as a manager. Sometimes it's got to be a mutual relationship, and managers have to trust. Sometimes if something is not working, if they're like trying, going sideways, right, and try and cross the ball, and it's not working, you got to do something else. You got to do something else.
This is the big dichotomy with the relationship between Southgate and his players, though, I feel, is that like it seems like he's this players manager who supports his players and will back his players at all costs.
Yeah.
And so they have this like emotional security in the relationship with him.
Yes.
But then the on-field it doesn't translate to an on-field kind of trust where like he's asking them to do things where they don't really love the style of play that
He doesn't want
leadership
them to
provides,
lose.
right?
He doesn't want them to lose.
Yeah.
That's how we're brought up. Germans make
But
fun of us. You just think about not losing. We think about winning.
Right.
That's what Germany says. That's
Well, I mean,
that's
that
what Southgate's doing.
Spain-Germany game was like the very good showcase of that, right? Like teams are just going at it and
Yes.
they're trying to win it. And
Yes,
you
that
know.
should have been the final.
Yeah. So, but with Carlos, do you feel like the Colombian media, I mean, like you're talking about how the general populace, even though they might not be football, soccer fans, they rally behind the team when they're playing. Does that kind of alleviate some of that scrutiny? Like, because there's just a majority who's going to support the team no matter who's on the field? Like, because I feel like the English fans, like everybody's an expert, everyone's a pundit. So there's this like micro, analysis every turn.
I know what you're saying. Yeah. So there's a lot of like, there is soccer fans, right? And there's Colombia fans, so there's people that Colombia is representing on a world stage. I'm going to support Colombia, and they're very supportive. They're, and that's really good actually, because they will support the team no matter what, because Colombia is representing. And then if Colombia fails, then they're like, oh, next time.
Next tournament, yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay, we're happy that we're at a global scale. But, and then there's soccer fans that some of them are very supportive, in the good times and in the bad times. And there's some soccer fans that they're very supportive in the good times, and in the bad times, they just want to trash the team, so we get that too, and they all think that they're managers, soccer managers and experts and things like that, right? So
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The worst thing you could do is
That's
win.
a smaller
That's the
segment
thing.
of.
We won in 1966, and then you just, for the rest of your lives, you're just trying to do it again. That's the thing. Like, if you haven't won, if you weren't the biggest team in the world, you didn't invent the game, the pressure's not there.
These guys have got a couple of Copa America titles under their belt. They've won before. One? Okay.
Yeah.
One less than a couple.
Yeah. Argentina has 15. Uruguay has 15. Brazil has 9. Colombia has 1. Chile has 2. So,
pressure isn't there.
Okay, I'm gonna say even the fact that you've hired 2 Argentinian managers back to back, right? That shows that like there's not this like pressure to hire somebody in country, right? Like I feel like that's now a standard in the US because enough US fans care. Like you have to hire an American. English, I feel like it's been the same since Capella, right?
Well, no, we actually we've had managers that are Colombian, Portuguese, right? Carlos Queiroz, from Portugal, didn't really find success. A lot of people in Colombia believe that there should be a Colombian manager, so it wasn't back to back. But we are, I think, in my opinion, for the skill level and the talent that we have, Colombian players playing abroad, we should bring somebody that is at that level, Colombian or non-Colombian. It doesn't really matter, half of the, I think it's like half of the teams in Copa America are Argentinian,
Right. Yeah. That's
a lot of the countries that have Argentinian managers, because they're successful. They're really good managers. And like, if we have success with a manager, I really don't care where's the manager from.
What was I mistaken? So Peckerman and Lorenzo are both Argentinian, right?
They are, but we didn't hire
There's somebody in between.
right after.
There's a gap.
Okay.
There was a gap.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Peckerman was like 2014. And then we had other managers. And remember, we didn't qualify for Qatar, which was a disaster.
Okay.
And
I don't remember, but
okay. Yeah, we didn't qualify. We qualified for Russia, but we didn't qualify for Qatar. And so,
yeah. I feel like this since, I mean, there was Bradley, and then was it Klinsmann, and then it was Berhalter. But it was like, I feel like the American, it's like we reached this level of thinking that we're good enough that we should be able to find somebody in-house, or somebody who's very well established on the international scale. And I feel like Klinsmann, he just had his family in California, and it was convenient for him. He likes the beach. So it was like he was willing to take the job, but he was kind of above the American standard at that point. Yeah. And now we're like looking,
you see what Jesse Marsh said?
What about
he said he'll never take it?
Yeah. Well, I wonder how those interview processes went. They probably didn't. Yeah. Because they were interviewing while Berhalter was on the fence, I think, right?
He doesn't want to take it.
Yeah, but
don't blame him. Don't blame him. Done well with Canada. Don't blame him.
Yeah. By the way, did you guys know this was Canada's first Copa America?
Right.
Yeah.
They've done all right.
Yeah.
That's cool. No, they did well in they did well in the World Cup, right? Well, no, they didn't have great performance. I think they had decent performances, but bad results and no goals, I think. Didn't
they have improved, and in the World Cup qualifiers, they've improved quite significantly in the past few years. Got great players like Alphonso Davis. So it's a different Canadian team. It's not the Canadian team that everybody kind of laughed about years ago, right? So
I always remember
De
Rosario. He was an old San Jose Earthquakes player. Always. Right. Steve Nash. What could have been had he chose the soccer ball over basketball. Also a Santa Clara University alum. We just missed each other.
And a Tottenham fan. So Steve Nash all the way around
the
park.
Look at this. Look at this. And he's vacationed in Medellin. I'm just, I'm just kidding. I have no idea if Steve Nash is vacationed in Medellin. Oh man. Well, we're at 148, but man, Carlos, there's so much more to ask you.
Fun, man. Time flies.
We haven't even scraped the surface of SCC days. I feel like any OG, we need to ask them, who did we miss, and fill in the gaps of identity.
Yeah.
Jez, are you similar to me, where like people have come to the fore who you realize,
amazing.
One guy, I'll just say one, because I passed by this restaurant on Damon, and it's near Foster or something, Carmen, but Gio's, and there's this bar Gio's, and it always made me think of Gio,
right? The little one.
Yeah, I think he is Mexican, right? And he'd bring his family along.
Yeah.
And great guy though, and just tireless.
So many.
Yeah. But Carlos, do you have any? Did you listen to the episode with the Soccer Club Chicago tribute?
No, I haven't seen that one. I need to catch up. Yeah.
It's a bit messed up because one reason I didn't want to do the Google Meets was because when you live stream, it goes to a different catalog. Like it's not.
Okay.
It's convenient in some ways, but it's also not in like the playlist on the YouTube website. So that kind of bothered me a bit. And it was actually more difficult to retrieve when you're doing that audio editing. So that might have contributed. But anyway, old friend Skype, even though there's always some visual glitches.
Catch up. We need to do our day one with Carlos afterwards, and we'll talk. Once he's listened to that, we'll do a day one. We'll compare drinks.
Oh yeah. A day. The AM.
Yeah, an AM.
Oh, an AM. Yes, with the cafe. Yeah.
Cafe,
see what mug
SCC.
this will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try and process this as quick as possible so that people can listen to it in the morning, hopefully.
Is that mandatory to get into your house? They have to have listened to it.
There's gonna be a multiple choice, 5 multiple choice questions. It's gonna be about.
You're gonna need it to be. There's too many. How many screens have you got, Rich? There's like 1,000 people there now.
It's just gonna be people in different corners of my apartment on their screens. I'm gonna say bring your own iPad.
Yeah.
No, then the Wi-Fi is gonna go down and it's gonna be a mess.
Perfect.
No, I think my screen's good, and we have enough seating. I think it's gonna be good. My place isn't so long; it's kind of like has some width to it, so I think it's actually a pretty good hosting site. And then there's the new kitchen.
I can't wait to see it.
But then there's another English representative. You know,
yeah,
Becca?
Kofi's bringing the family. Yes,
yeah,
let's do it.
Yeah, so this is good. It's gonna be a home turf, really.
It will be. There won't be any Spaniards there. They'll be. Yeah, so it'll be good.
I'm gonna dig up the English tin that
yes, please.
Anna stowed away somewhere deep in a cabinet. I'm gonna put it right on the mantle.
Pride of place.
Yeah. I have some English breakfast that I'll be serving. Tea times what? Tea times at 1 p.m.
Whenever you want. It could be 3, 4. Yeah. High tea with Jeremy. I'll be bringing the milk stouts. You know that much. I'll be up for tomorrow. It'll be good fun. Just to see everybody. I won't be watching the game. I'll just be
American? Or are you gonna bring something English? Is it the old hen?
I might bring
Boddington.
Boddington. Yeah, I'll bring you a Boddingtons. I've got all the English beers in there. Sam Smith, if you want one, I'll bring it. A selection for people.
Yeah, Sam Smith is a very hipster beer with that can art.
All right, you can have floral. You can have it then. I don't want to.
I got to be up with the matcha crowd.
Oh, yeah. Drink lemonade at Starbucks. Yeah.
We're getting very off track. This is not highlighting our guest here, esteemed guest.
Best.
Yeah, I don't know. Jez, do you want to take this anywhere with some? I'm willing to go a little bit longer. I don't want too long because if people are going to consume this in the AM, and if I'm going to process this,
I want a part 2 where we really open up because I want to know a ton of stuff. How you met Joel? You've got like how we got on this committee. Where have you left it with Joel? We've got the Fat Hyde Park International versus SCC. Rich, we've got another podcast out of this.
I know.
We do.
It's so clear.
Because Carlos has played for both. It's been a bit of a which camp is he in kind of thing almost.
No,
so
no, Carlos. Yeah, I mean, you have your foot in a lot of different communities, soccer communities in this city. I feel like you are maybe like one of the figureheads of the scene in the last 30 years, really.
Yeah. No, thank you. Yeah, it's been a wonderful journey with all these fantastic groups with you guys. I miss playing with you guys in the tournaments. I miss playing with Joel. I actually played with Joel maybe a couple months ago. Actually, I went to see him So I played a couple times over there. Saw him. It was really nice to see him. I played. Obviously, you guys know that I've been playing with Sati's group, Hyde Park, and shout out to Sati and his team. He's done a wonderful job organizing that group. Also, we can, if you guys want later on, we can talk about my. I actually want to get into coaching a little bit. So again, I'm coaching with Rolando, Youth Soccer International. I really want to kind of grow a passion for that because I really enjoy it. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not really playing anywhere right now because my fitness I'm still kind of recovering from some injury. So I'm not right now. I'm just kind of biking and playing a little ping pong. I love ping pong and, swimming and things like that. So definitely, yeah, if you guys want to do another one, this is fantastic. I love it. How many episodes have you guys done already? What episode number is this?
I think it's about 15.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah, no,
All Richard.
Unbelievable. Well done.
Mm.
This is fantastic. I love your passion, Richard, and thank you for keeping this going. And I'm gonna catch up on some episodes. I was actually watching Raf. I started watching it when you first started. Like I saw some of the things, and then today I was watching episode with Rafa, which was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, his is great.
Yeah, and so with Boris, Rafa and Boris and yourself, and I saw some of your episode with Jess and Pandi later, a few while back. But yeah, this is wonderful. Well done. Congratulations.
Oh yeah, man.
How about that?
I hope it's only the beginning. I think there's a lot of avenues that we can travel down. So, and I mean, with you, it's like I want to hear about the shoe reviews, man. This is So I was thinking about, we haven't had Calvin on yet, and Calvin was joking in the chat about whether he should wear the Puyol or some other jersey. He's very much like a fashionista of jersey collecting, and you have the footwear.
I love collect jerseys too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you too. So I mean, there's got to be a jersey edition. That's going to be we might have to skip Skype for that one because we can't have any glitches in the visuals. Holding up jerseys.
Yes. By the way, I forgot to show this one. I still have this one.
That's the slim fit.
Yeah.
So you're class of 79, I guess.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, just missed the 80s chat.
That's right. Yeah.
80. Yeah.
The most active WhatsApp chat in the footballing world.
Mm-hmm.
Jess's 80 chat.
Yeah.
Oh man. But one of these things you just don't want to attend. It's like the match between Germany and Spain. You're like, let's just keep it going.
Real teams.
Hey, that might be what's in store for us tomorrow. But
yeah,
it's going to be an epic day. I think all of us are excited. You guys probably even, you have some anxiety probably mixed in with that excitement. But
we'll be fine. If I was Carlos, I'd be like, yeah, in the bag. Especially holding on in that semi-final. If you hold on for that long, yeah.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, it's just Suarez hitting the upright right there. You're thinking, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Boy, that boy can finish still. Jesus, how hard he hit that. Oh my God.
He hit about 3 opportunities, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So scary moments.
Let's do it tomorrow.
All right, tomorrow.
Looking forward to it.
Yes.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, Carlos, for making the time. And let me get to this processing, baby. So, all right, guys.
Take care.
Guys.
All right. See you in about 12.
Tomorrow. Take care. Thank you, Carlos.
See you in about 14 hours. All right.
Yes.
Peace.
Cheers. Peace.